Go. Okay, go, Peanut.
Ready, set, go.
Go. Yay, strike. Strike. All right. Now, Jediah, your turn. They're doing the basketball.
What Jimmy got?
23. Yeah.
23?
Yes.
28, 23,
8.
23.
Oh, come on, come on. I need to make this 3. I need to make this 3.
From the west side. You got 28 now.
I need to make this 3. No, you don't. Yes, I do.
Me and Jimmy's time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see. That's how many more. 26. I could be in the lead if I make this 1. 29. I just need y'all to miss. Yeah. 28.
What Jimmy got?
28.
28, 28.
27. They're going to be 3 or 1. 26. Yeah, 23.
26, 27. You got 27. Because you missed the 2.
Yeah. You got a 3, so that was 26, 27.
And you got 28. Wow. It's going to be close. It's
Close
coming out
game,
to the
yeah,
wire.
man.
I got 23, huh?
Yeah. Don't you make that. Yeah, I got 26.
26. 28.
Okay, you have 1 foot on
27.
and 1 foot on the yellow.
That's all right. As long as I make
29. Yeah.
I gotta make
I got 2 close.
as long as she makes 1 of these, 2 or 3, I can win.
Yep. All you got to make is the 2 or the 3. And you win.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another hashtag Southern Belle Speaks Sunday. I am Southern Belle from the city. Thank you so much for returning. So guys, I just wanted to catch you guys. If you can hear my fan in the background, I do apologize. I tried to turn it on low, but your girl is hot, so hopefully it's not too distracting. But I did want to talk to you guys. I usually do these talks on Sunday or Sunday morning, Saturday night or whatever, or Saturday during the day, but I never catch these talks. I've never done these talks like in the night, you know, in the middle of the night. But honestly, that's when I really have a lot of thought process that sends either into a downward spiral, an upward spiral, or in a different spiral. But usually when I'm on a thought process or on the, you know, a journey from a thought, I've had these kind of, you know, moments. It's usually in the middle of the night when everyone else is asleep, the house is quiet, and things are kind of quieted down around the house, and it just is the most time that I have a lot of thoughts, because during the day I'm busy, I'm doing a lot of other things, and you know, I don't really have time to worry about what's going on in my head. But at night is when that happens. So I wanted to kind of catch that. A lot of times I'm trying to write down and relay and recreate the thought process that I'm having at the moment with you guys to catch on video. But I thought, you know, what if I catch it in the moment, you know? So today what's on my mind is just trying to nurture the inner child in myself, and I think that's something that we all need to do. I wanted to just, come on camera real raw. I'm in my PJs. I got my hair braided up. I did do my hair. I'll talk about that a little bit more later in this video, but I'm in my PJs. I'm in my favorite chair. I'm in my space, and this is the time that this is how I wanted to come on camera. I wanted to let you guys into my space a little bit into my world, and share with you what's going on up here. And as far as nurturing the inner child in myself, that came about because I do have a therapist, which I talk about very openly on my channel, and I was talking to her just about the fact that I don't know why, but like when I see like teenagers playing or teenagers having that puppy love and stuff like that, I find myself kind of envious, and not because I want to be a child, but just I don't know if maybe there's some things in my life that I didn't feel like I properly experienced, or I think I just want to go back to that freedom, that freedom of not having this responsibility and having so much ahead of me. I didn't take the time to really be a kid because I was always so busy trying to grow up that, I was always trying to, if you don't know me personally, I have siblings that are way older than me. I'm the youngest of 5, but the oldest is 50, and the youngest before me is 32, and then there's me who's 26. So there's a huge age gap, and so oftentimes I was always trying to keep up with them, or keep up with the peers that they had and stuff like that. A lot of my peers were their peers because I was hanging around them, or I was staying at home with my grandparents or my parents who are way even older. So I never really took the time to be in the space that I was in at that age, and I was never able to connect or identify with people that were of my age. I wanted to, but I just didn't know how, and I expected a lot more out of people, and that was because they were just kids, and I was expecting out of them more things that they were capable of, which delve into my relationships that I've currently been in and things like that. So I said all that to say that I was just letting my speaking to my therapist, like, I don't know why, but I just kind of envy like teenagers, and when I see them, it's like almost like I want to go back and be a teenager, but not because I just want to relive and go back to my childhood or whatever, but it's just like something in me doesn't feel like that stage was completed properly. I don't know what exactly that feeling is, but it's just a weird envious feeling when I see them, and it's almost like also there's so much going on in the world, and it's like once you realize how the world is, and once you realize like how society is, and you finally see the world for what it is, it's like there's no going back, and it's ugly, and I think that back then there wasn't any like fear of your life turning out a certain way. It's like you could just live in the moment and be carefree. It's like now there's so much fear for the future, or fear for turning out a certain way, or your life going a certain way, or a timeline on marriage and children and finances and education, and finishing education and competition with this, and there's so much fear of the unknown, especially now, with the coronavirus and everything. I don't know when things are going to go back to normal. There's so much fear of the unknown and uncertainty that is going on in the world, that I think maybe that feeling of being a child where you didn't think about any of that, you just kind of lived for that day and was making plans for the next day or the next few days. Like the things that were on your mind then were very fleeting, very temporary. and very spontaneous. And I think that maybe even then I always had this fear of the unknown, or fear of the future, or trying to control what happens in my future, that I didn't take a lot of those live in the moments, you know. And so one thing that my therapist encouraged me to do, which is I want to share with you, is that, you know, you obviously can't go back to your childhood. You obviously can't go back to adolescence. You obviously can't be a teenager. But what would you tell that teenager if you could? You know, what would you do differently knowing what you know now? And I shared a lot of different things. Another thing that she asked, and I'll just leave you with that question. I won't go into, you know, what I said, and that's just something for you to think about. But what I do want to share with you is that, you know, she kind of encouraged me to do some things that, you know, would remind me of my childhood, or some things that I didn't get a chance to do as a child, you know, to kind of rejuvenate that inner child spirit that, you know, kind of gives us a sense of nostalgic joy, you know. So I thought about it, and not even thinking about it after a while, I was doing a lot of those things, but they in my head were for my nieces and nephews, for them to be able to, you know, experience things. And you know, they've been cooped up in the house and they haven't been able to see their friends. So I bought hula hoops, I bought jump ropes, I bought chalk, I bought bubbles, I bought kites, all kinds of stuff, you know. And I began to do a lot of those things with them, and they have really like enjoyed it. Next week I'm going to get them a kiddie pool and some squirt guns and stuff like that, water balloons. A lot of the things that I did as a kid. I wasn't a kid that went out and hung out with friends and stuff like that, and walked the streets, you know, playing and messing around. But my mom always did stuff with us, you know, in the front yard. My dad, you know, would take us out back and shoot hoops with us, and take us to the basketball court, and, you know, walk to the park and stuff like that, which is something that I'm able to do now. But my mom would, you know, get chalk and write chalk with us, and blow bubbles, and play hopscotch and jump rope and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that I incorporated into my routine when I babysit my niece and nephew a couple times a week now. So I began to do things like that, and in my head I was doing it for them. You know, when she had given me that advice, I was like, okay, you know, I bought a skateboard. I was like, maybe I'll learn that, you know, to nurture my inner child or whatever. But I kind of didn't think about it. But I was thinking that I was doing those things with the hopscotch and, you know, bubbles and whatever for them. But I didn't realize how much joy, nostalgic joy, it began to bring me. You know, we raced, we ran, and for me, anytime that I exercise or anything like that, it immediately, you know, resets me, my mood and everything. But the bubbles, the hopscotch, the double dutch, you know, the hula hoop I had, you know, like just all of those things began to bring me some really great nostalgic joy. And I thought about it, you know, I was thinking about it today. I'm like, that's, you know, what she was saying essentially. It's like, we can't go back, but there are things that we can do to kind of rejuvenate and nurture that inner child that we have in ourselves. And so it began to really bring me better joy and give me a sense of kind of rejuvenation and kind of ground you, especially when there are things that you used to do at home or as a child. It kind of grounds you a little bit. It makes things more real. I think sometimes when all of these things are going on and there's so much fear for the unknown and fear for tomorrow, especially with someone who deals with anxiety, you know, you kind of get lost and you feel like you're floating away and you feel like you're slipping further and further away. And it's hard to kind of tether yourself, like an air balloon or something. You have to, like, those things, the stock, the roots that you come from, those things ground you. They kind of, when you have a higher balloon, you bring it down to a certain level, they have that rope and they take a stake and stick the rope onto it that holds the air balloon down to keep it from floating away. You know, the feeling of floating with the air balloon is it can keep going further, and you don't know how far it's going to go before it stops, before it crashes, before it gets caught on something, you know. So it needs something to hold it down until someone's able to control it. And so sometimes it can feel like you're not being controlled, you're not able to, you know, tether yourself to anything. So I think that, you know, things that remind you of your home, your sense of comfort zone, your sense of control, your sense of, you know, comfort when you, as a child, you know, that you were nurtured. When you remind yourself of those things, it kind of pulls you back and it gives you something to tether to. So I just wanted to share that with you because it gave me some clarity about myself. You know, sometimes I often feel like, you know, we've gotten so far away from who we are that it's kind of hard to identify that anymore, or identify ourselves as, you know, who we are. Obviously it's my age, but, you know, those things kind of give you that, you know, home, like, this is where I come from, this is what I'm fighting for, this is what I want to strive for. These are the things that I want to instill in my children or future children for me. So, you know, I've just been enjoying. I've just been, you know, it just reminds you to take some time to have those moments of spontaneity, where you're spontaneous, where you're just living in the moment, planning for today, maybe even tomorrow, but not so far away that it seems unattainable. Just living in the moment, especially during these times of, you know, where we're not certain about things opening back up or things like that. Those are the moments that, you know, we may not have to be somewhere, we may not have to live on a schedule. Those are the moments that we have to take advantage of, you know, getting out and doing some things for ourselves, or staying in and doing some things for ourselves, doing some extra things with our kids, even though sometimes it feels like a chore. You know, at first, when I started doing things with them, I felt like I didn't feel like doing it. They were like, "We're doing going outside," because they were so used to being in and being on their phone and being on their tablets that they didn't want to at first. And then when I got them out, it's like every time I came over, they were like ready to go outside, you know, because they just hadn't experienced it, especially not in a while, you know. So, and at first I'd be like, all right, in a minute. But when I got out there and I'm running in the grass with my kite, or I'm, you know, playing basketball. I play basketball with my dad, with my nephew, you know, blowing bubbles, just these simple things, you know. But when I was doing it, it's just like I could just be there in the moment and not really think about what was going on, but just laugh. You know, those good belly deep laughs are really important and really good for the soul. You know, so I've just been doing that, and it kind of set me, you know, reset me back on this journey to continue to work hard for becoming a whole being and becoming well in the mind and in the spirit as well as the body, you know. So I've been getting back together with my yoga, and I bought some things to do some extra skincare. My skin is glowing, as you can see. Follow me on Instagram if you would like to see my new skincare routine. You know, just making sure that I'm taking care of me. Oftentimes it's hard to remember to do those things when we're taking care of everyone else, but you know, you can't pour from an empty cup. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're feeling like you are floating away and you have nothing to tether to, try to find some things that are grounding, find some things that bring you nostalgic joy, and see if that makes a difference. Really hope that you got something from this message. If not anything, know that you are loved and that I'm here as a listening ear, as I hope you would be for me. And I continue to send you love and blessings and light. I am Southern Belle from the city, and you're watching #Southern Belle Speaks Sunday. I will see you next week.